Ever heard the story of John Wayne ditching a movie set to back Ronald Reagan just because Kirk Douglas filmed a Democrat commercial? Buckle up, partner, because the behind-the-scenes drama on the War Wagon might be even wilder than the actual heist in the film. In 1967, the War Wagon thundered into theaters starring two Hollywood legends, John Wayne and Kirk Douglas. Directed by Burt Kennedy and based on Claire Huffaker's novel Badman, the movie was a rare Western that dared to blend a heist plot with a dusty cowboy adventure. The film didn't just have star power, it had attitude, irony, and a wagon so tricked out it could have headlined its own spin-off. John Wayne, the ultimate American cowboy, took on an unexpected twist in this film. Instead of playing his usual straight arrow hero, Wayne's character, Taw Jackson, is an outlaw plotting revenge against a greedy rancher. It was one of the first times Wayne ever played a character on the wrong side of the law, and the audience loved seeing the Duke get a little dirty. Kirk Douglas, meanwhile, played Lomax, a slick gunslinger hired to help with the heist. Douglas brought his trademark smirk and acrobatic energy to the role. He even did most of his own stunts at age 49. Rounding out the posse were a motley crew: Howard Keel as Levi Walking Bear, a Native American character that Keel took mostly out of financial desperation; Robert Walker Jr. as the explosives expert, Bruce Dern as Hammond, and Keenan Wynn wearing a battered Confederate cavalry hat that once belonged to Leslie Howard in Gone with the Wind. Seriously, that hat had more movie credits than some actors. The story follows Taw Jackson freshly out of prison and itching for payback against Bruce Cabot's character Frank Pierce, who framed him and stole his land. Jackson's big plan? Hijack Pierce's armored stagecoach, the infamous War Wagon, loaded with gold. With a Gatling gun perched on top and 32 armed guards, it's no easy job. To pull it off, Jackson recruits his former enemy Lomax and a handful of misfit accomplices. The scheme is full of twists, trickery, and classic Western bravado. One standout moment has the team tricking the wagon guards by kicking up massive dust clouds using an old native trick. Douglas's sly line, "You don't suppose they'd fall for an old Indian trick again, do you?" gets the dry reply from Wayne, "They'd better." And guess what? They do. Filming kicked off in September 1966 in Durango, Mexico, where the production spent about 12 weeks. Interior shots were completed in Mexico City. The relationship between the Hollywood team and the Mexican crew was surprisingly smooth, even though they were tackling a massive production that included a prop as iconic as the War Wagon itself. The wagon, by the way, was mostly plywood painted to look like iron, proving once again that Hollywood magic can turn a paper-thin facade into a steel-clad behemoth. The clunky doors gave off metallic clangs to keep up the illusion, and the famous Gatling gun, while visually menacing, had no magazines when firing. Yup, eagle-eyed fans spotted that blooper pretty quickly. Writer Claire Huffaker was on set for the first and last 3 weeks, working on script tweaks. The film marked the 11th time one of his books was sold to Hollywood, and it helped land him a lucrative book-a-year contract for 5 years. But what about the real drama? Oh, there was plenty. By the mid-1960s, John Wayne and Kirk Douglas were already polar opposites politically. Wayne was a staunch conservative, practically the patron saint of Hollywood right-wingers, while Douglas was an outspoken liberal. The tension boiled over when Douglas skipped set one day to shoot a political commercial endorsing California's Democratic governor, Edmund Pat Brown. John Wayne was furious. Not one to be outdone, Wayne promptly vanished the next day himself, filming a commercial to support Republican candidate Ronald Reagan. That's right, Wayne left a multi-million-dollar set just to even the score with Douglas. Hollywood egos? Try Hollywood showdowns. Director Burt Kennedy even sacrificed half his salary to secure Douglas for the film, betting on that electric dynamic between the two leads. The gamble paid off big time. Their bickering, bantering chemistry practically leaps off the screen. Kennedy was smart. He knew that putting two huge personalities together was either going to be explosive or legendary. Luckily for him and us, it turned out to be both. While the political antics played out, other tensions simmered too. Howard Keel nearly punched Wayne during a scuffle, because Wayne apparently grabbed him too aggressively. Keel ultimately turned down a role in the Green Berets afterwards, citing scheduling conflicts. But many suspect it was really because of his on-set tensions with Wayne. Before we continue, a quick shout out to Perfect Fifth. They've got some incredible old school music inspired graphic tees, like this VU meter design capturing that perfect analog vibe, or this melting vinyl sunset, a minimalist ode to the golden era of vinyl. And this Star Strings and Stripes, a rock and roll twist that's perfect for the Patriots. And for Golden Throwback viewers, they're giving you an exclusive 20% off with the code Throwback20. Check out the link in the description. Now, back to the video. Adding to the legend, Wayne's barroom brawl in this movie was reportedly his 500th on-screen fight. Who counted that? Maybe Wayne himself, maybe some devoted assistant. Either way, it's the kind of number that becomes myth in Hollywood lore. Kirk Douglas was equally memorable off-screen. While most people called Wayne Duke, Douglas refused. He didn't believe in nicknames and avoided them altogether, which just further highlighted the divide between the two actors. Even Yakima Canutt, Wayne's old stunt buddy, stuck with John. Speaking of stunt work, Douglas did most of his stunts, lending a physicality to Lomax that made the character more than just a wisecracking gun for hire. Meanwhile, Wayne wore his signature silver bracelet, a gift from Vietnamese tribesmen, throughout the film, a personal touch he carried into many of his roles. The War Wagon itself became a minor celebrity. Originally built from plywood and parts of John Deere farm equipment, yes, really, it stood as a hulking star of the show. After filming, the wagon was left to slowly rot at Universal's backlot, later moving to Orlando in the 90s. Fans on the studio tour could catch a glimpse of its once mighty frame slowly decaying in the sun. A strangely poetic end for such an imposing prop. When the War Wagon premiered in 1967, it opened at number 1 at the box office and raked in nearly $10 million. A strong showing for a Western in a time when the genre was starting to fade. Critics gave it generally positive reviews, appreciating its self-aware humor and the sizzling dynamic between Wayne and Douglas. Even though Wayne wasn't entirely satisfied with the final cut, he openly praised Douglas's performance as hilarious and lively. The film's success helped cement Wayne's willingness to take riskier roles, and it proved that audiences were ready for westerns with a twist. Meanwhile, Douglas showed that he could ride alongside the Duke and still steal scenes with a wink and a grin. Their rivalry, political and otherwise, became part of Hollywood legend, and it all started with a dusty wagon, a stolen gold shipment, and a couple of stubborn egos. Now it's time to hear from you. What's your favorite behind-the-scenes feud in Hollywood history? Let us know in the comments below, and saddle up for more Golden Throwback deep dives.